are so trusting. It just goes to show how adaptable they are. And
It's been a tough week for Burma, and her keeper Andrew is taking her response to Cashin's death one step at a time. Malik has not been anaesthetised since she arrived 3 years ago. And although the procedure is potentially dangerous, there's another good reason to take the risk. Thousands of kilometres from New Zealand, on the Indonesian island of Sumatra, Auckland zookeepers Amy and Carly are starting to feel at home, making friends with the locals.
hello.
Amy and Carly have come to the Sumatran Orangutan Conservation Project to help rehabilitate orphaned baby orangutans. And this morning, they're off to an early start.
We're off to take Hexus and Angeli, two of the young orangutans, out into the forest for a bit of forest skills and exercise. So really excited and looking forward to getting them out into the bush.
Although they began life in the wild, Hexus and Angeli were orphaned after their mothers were killed by loggers. Luckily, they were rescued and brought here, where they've spent the last few months building the strength and skills that they'll need to survive on their own in the wild.
Are you ready? Are you rearing to go? Oh, Angeli is too. Sweetheart, let's go then. Yeah.
For Amy and Carly, who observe a hands-off policy with the orangutans at Auckland Zoo, holding these babies is a wonderful opportunity.
Hi. Good boy. Hello. Are you ready? They're quite different from a human baby in the way that they cling on. They have this really nice grasping response from when they're born, and so he holds on. Can never drop him because he knows how to hold on properly. Don't you, Hexus?
That natural clinging response will hopefully help him out in the jungle when they're left to practice climbing by themselves.
Are you ready to climb a tree? Are you? You ready to go up high? It's really important that they get this experience and this exercise so that when they're released, they know which trees are strong enough to grab and to move through. They're going to know what fruit they can eat. These will all be things that they'll be learning off their mothers, but since they don't have mothers, then they're just kind of figuring it out for themselves. So it's so important that they get this opportunity, and she really needs to go. You want to go, Poppet? I don't think that tree's strong enough.
Here you go, matey.
First to go is gung-ho Hexus, who seems to know that this is where he belongs.
Wow, look at him go. Clever man, Hexus.
The tree looks like it's going to break. Oh my gosh. All right, Missy, where you go? There you go. Up you go. Look.
Next up is Angeli, the more cautious of the two. Even so, her natural instincts kick in, which is somewhat worrying for her admirers on the ground.
I can't believe how high up they are.
No, it must be scary for a little tiny baby to have to do that all by itself.
I think so.
Sometimes it's a bit dangerous for them because they choose the wrong tree or they don't make the right choice, and they'll grab a vine that's not attached, or they'll grab like a little leaf or something, and the guys have said that they've just come crashing to the ground.
The area where Hexus and Angeli will be released is protected from poachers, but much of the Sumatran jungle is quite different. Out there, adult orangutans are routinely killed for a bounty of just $20, leaving their terrified babies all alone.
This is just a drop in the ocean. There's a place in Borneo and Kalimantan that has over 650 baby orangs and nowhere to release them. So that's 650 mothers that have been killed.
Luckily, these bush babies will have the opportunity to go back into the wild. But learning to scale such heights all alone is a big ask for a little ape. Enthusiastic Hexus has taken a tumble. Luckily, he's not hurt, but his minders feel it's time to call it a day.
Terima kasih.
I saw you drop to the ground. Did you have a good time? Oh, now you want to go back up. Now you want to go up. So you wouldn't know just by looking at these guys just what they've been through, the ordeal and the tragedy that they've had in their short little lives, because they're so trusting. It just goes to show how adaptable they are, and just that they, even though all these things have happened to them, there is hope for them and they can be reintroduced.
Yeah.
So we're going to go, aren't we? Yep. Stop trying to take that out of my pocket.
Go have some lunch?
Oh,
Can you please hold on to me? Come on, hold on. There we go.
You just did a burp.
It's been a tiring but fruitful day. Hexus and Angeli are one step closer to a successful reintroduction back into the wild.
Hello, Hippo. Good morning.
Back at Auckland Zoo, daily routines are helping everyone cope with their grief at the loss of Cashin the elephant. But for Andrew and the team, Burma's well-being is their sole focus. They're hoping today she'll be ready to start trying things she's never done on her own.
Today we're going to take Burma up to the bush, and it's always a little bit worrying to start walking her because she's relied on Cashin so much for comfort in the past.
It's been a tough week for Burma, and her keeper Andrew is taking her response to Cashin's death one step at a time.
We're not too sure how she will do. I really hope she goes well, but overall she's looking around a bit at the moment, but that's okay.
Without Cashin to take the lead, even familiar trails are a bit daunting.
The beauty of being able to get her out is we can take her out of her enclosure and take her to areas that she's not normally able to get to, and it's great for her mental and physical stimulation.
But today's task may be harder than usual because Burma's going up to the spot where she and Cashin used to graze.
Hey, Gaboo.
But with a little gentle persuasion, she's up and away.
It's Cashin's ramp, isn't it? Help her get up into the bush.
Once she's found her favourite spot, she relaxes enough to enjoy herself.
Gabby! Oh, who's a lovely elephant?
It's really comforting to see Burma having a good dust bath. She really enjoyed it with Cashin here, and I was really concerned the fact that she wouldn't be comfortable enough to do this because she'll be on alert a lot more looking around. She's still not in herself in the fact that she's got missing a little bit of spark that she used to have, and I personally believe that's because she's still you know, grieving over Cashin. I would think there's still a bit of Cashin smell here as well. It's always been sitting in the back of my mind that we wouldn't be able to do this for such a long time, and to have her so comfortable and trust us so much, it's a real sense of relief.
Burma's had enough excitement for one day, so as the afternoon draws to a close, she heads back down to her enclosure.
All right. Who's been so clever? Very good, let's go.
As evening falls, the zoo's residents get ready for bed. At the elephant house, Andrew helps Burma settle down for the night. Since Cashin's death, she's had keepers staying with her each night, but tonight she will be sleeping solo. However, Andrew has a plan to make sure she copes with this new independence.
We've got some cameras set up in the barn just to monitor her at night. It's a bit unpractical to have us here staying with her, but another concern as well is we don't want her to become reliant on us being around, that she can sort of be a bit more independent on her own until we get the company of another elephant. And so tomorrow we'll have a look at the footage just to see how she's doing at night, because we don't know, and it'll be really good to see and be satisfied that she's coping well. You can have a good night's sleep. We'll see you in the morning. Good night.
Over at the elephant clearing, Burma is already up and about, and her keeper Andrew is wondering just how much sleep she got last night.
Hey, boo. Good girl. Just some bananas for your breakfast. Oh, here we go. Who's a good girl? Did you have a good night's sleep? Put this one in your mouth. Have you got it? Put it in there. Good girl, okay.
Last night, Burma had her first night alone, but little did she know she was being watched the whole time.
Burma's looking really nice and relaxed, which would suggest that she's had a good night's sleep. So I'm going to go inside and have a look at the camera footage and see how it all looks.
Andrew and the team are on high alert for any signs of depression. If Burma's not sleeping, it could be a signal that she's just not coping with life alone.
So she's just dozing here on the mulch. She's standing up. We'll just click on that. She's just resting here because elephants can stand and sort of doze and sort of rest certain parts of their body. This isn't actually a deep sleep. She's looking a bit tired here. What I'm hoping Burma will do is at some stage actually lay down for a deep sleep. That tells me that she's comfortable to do that and that she's relaxed enough. The first couple of nights she actually didn't sleep, which is always a bit concerning, but like anything, it's probably the stress of not having Cash in there. Look, here she goes now. Good girl. Tuck the head over. Sleepy little elephant.
But the reassuring slumber is short-lived. After an hour, Burma starts to stir.
Oh, here she goes. Up you get, Boo. It takes a couple of goes to get her up.
But even a short nap is good news.
Elephants can only really lay down for a couple of hours and then they'll have to get up. That's due to the weight on their lungs and things like that they're carrying. But the good thing about this is she's not actually displaying any sort of stereotypic behaviour which would tell us that she's not coping. So that's things like swaying, leg lifting, all those sorts of things that you really don't want to establish in your elephants.
So for now, the keepers can stop losing sleep over Burma's nights alone.
It's so satisfying just to see that she's comfortable to sleep, and you know, it's a bit difficult for us to only see her on her own, but to know that she's coping and managing, and hopefully she'll continue to until we can get her some company. Hey Boo, you had a really good sleep, Bush Bear. Where we go from here is the fact that we need to find her that company, and about that is trying to find sort of similar personalities where they might gel. It's a bit like two people and trying to sort of mix and match to give Burma the companion that she needs and deserves.
Burma doesn't know it yet, but it may not be long before she's sharing her life with another mate.
We want to try and have an elephant here sort of within the 6-month stage, which is a pretty tight timeline, believe it or not, to sort of move elephants. You know, but our commitment is to Burma, so if she's not coping, then we may have to look at things like sending her to Australia, where she can have companion overseas. But we're not too much worried about that at the moment. We're just going to focus on trying to get her that companion that she needs.
Far away, deep in the jungles of Sumatra, Auckland zookeepers Amy and Carly are about to embark on a big adventure with the baby orangutans. But Hexus and Angeli are focused on breakfast, unaware that this morning they will begin the next part of their journey to be released back into the wild.
You've got a big day ahead, Mr. Hexus. This is a really exciting day for Hexus and Angeli. We're taking them with us on a big journey, about 7 hours in a bumpy jeep, but they're going to end up at a really nice new home. It's a new station that Auckland Zoo is helping to support, where these two will be released.
Not all of the babies will have such a short stay here. Most of them have experienced physical and emotional trauma, which will mean a longer rehabilitation program. Fortunately, Hexus and Angeli have quickly developed the skills that they need and are ready to go home to the jungle.
Go. Oh my God.
Back at camp, the staff are getting ready for the journey. While it's an exciting day for Hexus and Angeli, it's a bittersweet experience for Amy and Carly. They know that they may never have another opportunity to come back to this station.
Well, we're really happy for these guys to be going to the forest and being released. It's really sad for us because it means that we're leaving the guys that we've been working with for the last little while and leaving the orangutans, and we've built up such a good relationship with them that we're just really going to miss them, eh? Yeah. Hey, but it's very exciting for these two little ones, but just really, really sad to be leaving.
You're okay, always holding on so tight. Have you been across the bridge before? That's fine. Very scary, eh?
There you go, miss. There you go.
You can do it. It's okay.
Angeli is understandably anxious about being put into the unfamiliar confined space. But for Hexus, his companion's nerves don't dampen his enthusiasm for some last-minute adventure.
I've lost my monkey. Come here. Come here, you naughty little thing. I love my monkey.
Once Hexus is on board and secured, it's time to head off to the new release site that these babies will soon call home. After 7 long hours on the rough roads of the Sumatran jungle, Amy and Carly and their travelling companions have finally arrived at Lubuk Kambing Station, which will be the orangutans' temporary home before they're released back into the wild.
Hey, how are you? Was that a long trip?
Hexus and Angeli have had a long, hot, bumpy ride, and they're in dire need of a stretch and some fresh air.
Hello.
Hex is my friend.
Come on, Angeli.
Oh, he's hot. Oh my God, he's boiling.
Oh, we're pasty. Hi. What do you think? No. Orange.
Food. Hi, hello.
Oh, no. Hi. Yeah.
Come meet you and your friend.
Lubuk Kambing is part of the Bukit Tigapulu National Park, where over 100 orphaned orangutans have been released in the past 7 years.
This is a real jungle.
This new site caters for young orangutans, like Hexus and Angeli, that have good forest skills but still need to be monitored once they're released.
I've never walked through a river with an orangutan before. Hey, I bet you've never walked through a river with a human before. Oh, can you see?
Good lady.
Wow, wow, wow.
Good lady. Wow. This is like luxury, miss.
Can you see?
Before they explore their new forest, Hexus and Angeli will spend the night in a holding cage to get some rest before their big day tomorrow.
You are heavy up these stairs, my darling.
Here we go, mister. Here you go.
Good boy. This is such an amazing setting, and it's so awesome to be here in the middle, literally in the middle of the Sumatran jungle, knowing that these two little ones, Hexus and Angeli, are one step closer to being released back into the wild. Hey, you big show off.
Hexus and Angeli have the night to settle in before they get the chance to really discover whether everything they've learnt will be enough to survive on their own in the wild. Back at Auckland Zoo, the visitors are lining up at tiger territory to watch the triplets' playful antics. The cubs are now 17 months old. In the wild, they would have already started to wander off in search of their own space. But here at the zoo, it's still some time before the cubs will leave for new homes, and Mum Malik is crying out for a bit of time away from the chaos. Next door, the cubs' dad Oz is also hoping for a bit of attention from Malik. She's come back into season, and right now she'd rather be with him than with her boisterous teenagers.
Hi guys, hey kittens. How is everybody? Hello Jalora. Hey.
Keeper Lauren has a plan to help Mum and Dad get a little more time alone away from the kids.
No, don't be grumpy.
Well, I've got all the cubs in at the moment, and we're coming up to a really interesting time with their development. It's about this time that in the wild, Mum would be telling them to, it's time to start going off on your own. But we're really seeing this in Malik's behaviour. She's just really not as tolerant as she used to be. A lot of grumpy behaviour, a lot of growling and telling them off. And sometimes she'll give them a wee warning bite. And unfortunately, the boys aren't very good at taking the hint.
The easy solution is to let Oz and Malik have some time together and leave the cubs to become more independent. But with no plans to breed Oz and Malik in the immediate future, Malik will need to get a contraceptive implant to allow her to play with her mate. And that's no easy task.
To be able to contracept a tiger, it's not as easy as just giving her a bit of medication every day. We actually have to completely knock her out. So this means a general anaesthetic. This is a hugely risky operation. There are a lot of things that could potentially go wrong.
Malik has not been anaesthetised since she arrived 3 years ago. And although the procedure is potentially dangerous, there's another good reason to take the risk. The vets will be able to look into something else her keepers are worried about. Malik has recently developed a cough, and it's a cough they've heard before.
A couple of years ago, before Malik was at the zoo, we had our only female Nisha, and she started coughing. In the end, it was discovered that she did have cancer, and it was causing her to cough quite a lot, and she actually ended up passing away because of this.
Malik is Nisha's full sister, and in the back of everyone's minds is the fear that Malik might be heading down the same path.
We'd like to just check that Malik hasn't potentially inherited anything that could be causing this cough, and if we do find anything, we can try and treat it or knock it on the head as soon as possible. She's a really special animal to us. After Nisha passed away, she represented hope for the tigers here at Auckland Zoo with Oz coming over, so we'd really like her to be okay.
Now Malik just needs a good night's rest before the knockout tomorrow, which might be easier said than done.